mind. We're uncaged.
Welcome to Topple Uncaged. I'm Steve Topple and you're locked on to the UK's hottest politics and music podcast. Each week I bring you the rawest takes on the big stories making the news, always joined by a very special guest. Then I pleasure your mind, body and soul with the freshest, most banging international music going.
Uncaged.
Whoa, whoa, yeah. Ganja way, They never did want the ganja man, them in and now illegal will legal. Me say illegal will legal, yes. Don't worry about illegal.
What's up everyone, I am Steve Topple and this is part 2 of my amazing interview with the legendary, the iconic Micah Shemaiah. Yes, in part 1, which you can access via the link that will be in the show notes, we discussed all sorts of things. His latest 3-series vinyl release, The Forgotten Scrolls. We discussed artificial intelligence, technology, the music industry, the cult of celebrity and more. Now in part 2, you can get more of mine and Micah's thoughts on a plethora of items and subjects. So lay back, enjoy and check this out. Again, you've piqued a thought in my mind. I mean, your music is always very, very authentic and very true to what the Roots movement is about. Whereas a lot of artists, especially more, well, no, not more recently. Actually, it's not strictly true because I had Third World on a couple of weeks ago, and I was chatting to them. And they, back in the 80s, they were sort of pilloried almost at points for combining sort of roots sound with funky soul. But
they were known as the pop band of reggae music. To be honest,
yeah.
When I was growing up, like the elders, that's why the elders really had them as like they were not so roots. They were more poppy, you know.
No, absolutely, and it's been the sort of, especially within the revival movement, there is this motion to almost mash up and incorporate different genres and different styles of music. I mean, but you have kept it. You've been consistently true to what the original Roots movement was about throughout your time producing music. I mean, is that also important to you as a individual to keep that authenticity? But do you think it's also important for the message and for everything that encapsulates and come with the Roots movement more broadly? Do you think it's important to stay authentic, or is there something to be said for this sort of musical eclecticism and diversification that's going on at the minute?
The natural progression of the music is happening, so I can't fight that. So the diversity is natural. So it is a natural progression. But and I do have music of a lot of the tones that you hear out there, like what you would call pop music. Because when I started doing this music, I was really branded a neo soul artist. I used to just play my guitar and sing ballads, you know. So that's what I was branded as, a neo soul artist, you know. So I sounded a lot like, you know, people like John Legend and stuff like that. I have a lot of songs like that, You know what I mean? So it's not that this thing is natural for young people to gravitate towards, because it's music. It's a wide variety. It's a wide palette. So you could just, you know, you could just taste and touch what you want to touch. But the spiritual guidance and the need is what makes you go into a particular thing. That's what did it for me. You know, because as I say, when I was making music with my brethren back in the day, at Java Evil, we had everything. You know, we did all types of music, all those, even the songs that early guys came out with, like Baka them and Chronicson. It was all songs that we were all doing together. You know what I mean? Like it was more dancehall, some of it mixed with a little bit of pop music, but still we maintained the roots in our lyrics. But that was when we are kids, you know, we're experimenting with music. As I grew older, you know, I have to grow into a man. So you transform, you know what I mean? And then you have to transform into something that is going to be really a role. Like when I look at it, I was like, okay, we're making all this music, sounds great, everything, yeah, blah, blah, blah. But spiritually, I know what the world needs. You know, I was brought up in a spiritual vein. So then I can see spiritually. So because I can see spiritually, I know what the world really needs, not what they want and what they're going to party to till they say when the world is going to end, everybody's in a big party in the streets. That's ridiculous, you know. So I couldn't actually shepherd my people to that, or the people that I even love in my immediate circle, much less people outside of the circle, you know. So I took all of that, molded it into one thing, like, okay, I have to maintain what reggae music originally stood for. Because, I mean, without that, then we're lost, you know, because, I mean, I can't fault no one that's doing anything else, but someone has to hold on to what is here, you know what I mean? So, and to be honest, if I had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 friends, brethren in the music industry, people that are not elders, right now, is the elders. I hug them, I will ball, I will talk, I will love each other. And it's the elders, them people like Congos and China Smith, and you know what I mean. And them man there, you see me? Them man there is like more than my fathers now. Them man is like my brothers now, because the music that I'm doing is they have accepted me. It is so connected to them and what they did that they have accepted me as a brother and not only as a son. You know what I mean? Because them sister, all right, you carry on this thing. So yeah, and they're tired. You know what I mean? Cedric actually looked for me a few years ago in a festival and almost in a very emotional situation. You know what I mean? And the man said, boy, I'm glad to see you out here, youth, because right now I tired. You see me? And it's as simple as that. When I go on the road and I see how the man them Billy move me there, reggae jam the other day, I see the rockers crew come in and the man them Billy, the man them tired Rasta. The man them tired Rasta. The man them fear fly on private jets, you know, chilling. You know, the man them tired. So, and as I say, as a young youth coming up, if I had friends that was sticking to this thing like even more, not like we're gonna do straight like, oh, heavy roots, Micah, it's so deep, yeah, you don't have to do that, you know what I mean? But if you had more of it, then I wouldn't really have to be so deep, to be honest, you know what I mean?
It's a very good point, actually, yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, the last thing I know, brother, I wouldn't have to be so deep. I could still do some other things that I'm interested in as well, you know. I love jazz, you know, I love deep soul music, you know what I mean? I love other music that, yeah, just to touch on it, not to bring it into reggae and try and distort, because as I say, every music is made for a reason. Reggae music was made as
sorry to interrupt. That is a crucial point. Yes, I'm glad you said that. Sorry, carry on. I'm
reggae music is made as the spiritual anchor of this world, bro. You see me? We are a people. We were bombarded with all types of things that came from us. We act like slavery was not from us. All of the Holocaust crap, all of the names that we gave each other, the name Jesus Christ, the name Rastafari, all of these are names. These are labels that we made, human beings on this earth made. You understand?
Yeah.
And we do all this because we are missing. We are empty. A lot of us are empty. A lot of us, we need that connection. You know what I mean? So there's the spirit that is higher than all of us, that I call Rastafari, it's my divine connection. You know what I mean? Whoever you want to connect to, that's your business. As Rastafari came and said, religion is a corrupt source. It has been corrupted by mankind. So now you try and find a spiritual connection with the Almighty for yourself, a personal connection for yourself, and then you can even dwell in a congregation with other people. But before you do that, before you connect, you can't dwell anywhere. It's because it's only going to be distortion and confusion. You know what I mean? Because religion is a structure that has been corrupted by the selfishness and the greed and the bad intentions of mankind. You know, so we have created all of this on ourselves, all of this heaviness, all of these labels and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Now we see that in time, manifestation happens to either help or to break down. You know, to build or to break down. And to break down doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing. To build sometimes can be a bad thing, and it can be a good thing. So both things are neither good nor bad. And that is what is messing up all of us as well. You don't realize that every energy is used for a particular reason. Every music, as I said, is made for a reason. Reggae music, now coming back to that, it was made to be the anchor of the world spiritually. Not to tell people that you have to come and wear locks and be Rastafari, but to sing lyrics so potently connective spiritually that it touches every human soul, and it gives us an opportunity to live beyond the mask of the system, beyond what the system has put us in, beyond this rotation, this sequential cycle of life that we find ourselves in, to pay our bills, to blah, 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 whatever, the music a lot of the other types of music really is really geared towards just our cultural expression, our dancing, partying. But that's why, if you notice, every culture in the world has reggae music now as a very integral part of their culture. Not necessarily Rastafari, because a lot of people have not gone that deep, but reggae music is now an integral part of every culture on the planet.
Absolutely.
Even I told somebody the other day, even aliens listen to reggae music. I guarantee you. Because if you want to know the essence of mankind, the essence of what creates a man's thought process and why he's good and bad to someone, you have to listen to the music that touches on these points. You can't listen to spinning rims. You can't listen to superficial things to find that. You can only listen to something that is touching that to find that. So if aliens want to know us, they're going to listen to reggae. I guarantee you that. They don't want to know who we are. You know what I mean? Because what is the face of us can change. That is our clothes, that is our jewelry, our cars, our homes, whatever. That's the face of us. That can change. But the essence of us is what reggae music speaks to. And that's why I say it is the cornerstone of our spiritual balance in this world. This is the anchor. And we as artists have a responsibility to hold that. You know what I mean? And it's a huge, huge pressure to say. Last year, I know, when Bob and the man did a chat back in the day, I'm sure they put Bob in this pedestal and put a couple of men in a pedestal, yeah? But I guarantee you, these brethrens were far more relaxed, were far more comfortable in their space. That's why if you notice their interviews almost came off as arrogant to some people, because they don't realize that these guys weren't really arrogant. They were just so confident that them find that spiritual power, and them not gonna make nothing come broke it down. Them not gonna make nothing come water it down. You know what I mean? So it came off like it was arrogance, but it was not. In a world where you're so downtrodden and downpressed for who you are, when you find that magic, I mean, you're gonna look like it's arrogant for sure. So Bob them find that, they tap into that. Reggae music is for that, and he and Peter Tosh and Burning Spear and all these, that's why Rocker's movie was there, because they had company. They had people that was really in them halfway. No. The man I sing roots, the man I roots, Rastafari, change your damn life, you know what I mean? We're going down into the abyss, You never had no one man I sing that. You never had no two man I sing that, you know what I mean? And that resonated to the whole of the world till they have reggae bands all over the world start sing that. No, if you notice, it's nothing like that. No, it's one and two man I sing that, and the rest of the man them I resonate something else to the rest of the world. So now, if you go to the reggae festivals now that call themselves reggae festivals, a lot of the nights it's pure pop music, and then it's raving music. Like even when I perform in Rotterdam, before I perform, it was a whole like 3-4 hours of rave, get mad, get sweaty, pop some pills, get crazy. You see me? And then when we go on the stage, I tell you, so last year I know we have to give thanks for Rastafari every time.
If you want to take a break, go and grab yourself a tea, coffee, any other liquid or any other kind of refreshment, because me and Micah will be back in just a few seconds. There's loads of things I want to pick up on there, but no, you're spot on. I mean, it's like you said, the whole festival. The whole point of a festival has always been distorted by this sort of corporate element now. And
exactly.
It's been consumed by it, and you have artists like yourself on the same. I'm not going to name any artists because I don't think that's fair, but people will know who I mean. Certain artists who really shouldn't be on the same billing as artists like yourself. It's almost we're kind of. I almost think we're regressing in some respects. Sometimes.
Yeah, we are regressing. Actually we are regressing in one point and we are progressing in another. I have to be honest that the world. What I see out there in the world is that even though the governments and the establishments and these institutions that are supposed to be making it better for all of us and creating avenues for better citizens and better world and blah blah blah, they're blind and they're actually creating more war than anything else. But on the ground, the people are finding a way how to start loving each other again from a very natural standpoint. You know what I mean? And that is a beautiful thing. And I don't know if it's, and it also is coming through their more consciousness of their health. You know, because when you start to think that, you know, you're going to die, I guess you start to think of the good things. You start to go more minor chords and not so major chords. You know, you go deeper. You know, so I think the people are becoming more and more in touch. You know, little by little. It's not a widespread thing, but little by little, you see people are getting more in touch with each other and starting to connect. You know, so that's a beautiful thing still. You know? But the world on a whole, like even the reggae festivals, I believe that it's the establishment, because the reggae festival is an establishment. You know, it's not the people that go there to enjoy the reggae festival and the artists are not the reggae festival. The reggae festival is an establishment of, it's an organization of people. And these people have the responsibility, you know what I mean? They are the ones who have the responsibility to keep the purity and the focus of what reggae music is about, what the coming together and unification is about. You know what I mean? So the distortion now is the same thing that, as I say, that happens in everything. You know, you're faced with, okay, I have this, and I'm cool. You know, man shall not eat by bread alone. Who wants to eat bread alone? You know what I mean? So, man will say, all right, I want fucking chicken now. I want some beef and stuff like that. You know what I mean? When the bread was okay, the bread is actually what keeps you living for 1,000 years. The beef and the chicken, not saying that bread does that, you know. Whoever is listening to the interview, you know, actually vegetables do that. I'm sorry, you know. So plant-based diet is the way to go, you know, for anybody who's listening out there. Plant-based diet. So that's what keeps you living for 1,000 years. The chicken and the beef and all this stuff is so tasty. I mean, you can't go around it. You know, big ups to whoever can cook them stuff nice. It's so tasty and everybody love it and blah, blah, blah. But it's the stuff that makes you die in 100 years and die in less than 100 years. So if you notice now the world in the reggae festivals, the pill popping comes from mostly, and personally me, I'm not trying to be liberal. I'm not trying to be nice. I don't want to call nobody's names, but I'm a very plain person. I'm a very open person. Mostly, even my crap that I go through in my own life, it's very open. So a lot of people, know when I'm full of shit as well, you know. So the reality about it is that, the music that makes your heart beat faster than a 1-2, which we're naturally born with, it's electronic music, and that is the music that makes for teenagers going through 5-6 years of their lives not knowing their next move and who they are, because they're popping so many pills, they're going to so many raves, that by the time they start thinking about actually establishing their life, it's almost in the midst, and it's almost in a stressful point, and the societies are suffering from this, because the societies, they make all these companies and all these businesses to rotate, and then they make the world in such a way that the good thing is expensive and it's held back, and what is destroying our communities is what's promoted, just because of the fact that the system has an agenda. But the system's agenda is fighting even itself, because if you notice, as I say, all these kids getting messed up, and they can't run into a normal system. So all your big banks and your blah blah blahs and blah blah blahs, all this stuff cannot be run efficiently by kids, by the next generation that is being basically messed up all through their teens to 20s, to some of them through their 30s, that basically have no minds. Some of them even are in these jobs, and they're like just there's no real person there. You know what I mean? So these are the things that are creating in our society from the type of music and the type of stuff that we do. Reggae music is something that gives you a space away, just like we need a space away. So you go into something and it's hectic and it's very stressful, you need a space away. Reggae music provides that, a space away. But if you bring all that stuff now into the space where reggae music is, it distorts the whole thing. So now no one really knows where to go to relieve themselves. No one, because it's all, it's just, and but people are justifying this because, as I said before, no one wants to live by bread alone. No man wants to just wear Converses all his life. You know what I mean? Everybody at some point is going to want some kind of pointy toe shoes that cost $5,000 because it's there, it's being promoted on the internet, and it looks nice, and it's probably going to fit you as well, and make you look good in a nice suit, and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But this should not be at the cost of who you are supposed to be to the people. That is my problem with reggae artists. I don't really worry about the rest of artists. That's for me with reggae, spiritual reggae artists. These things should not be at the cost of what you are supposed to be doing for the people through your music. That means if they come, they come. So if you notice, all of the great men, they end up getting wealth. All of them ended up, Bunny Wailer, you name it, they ended up, being wealthy because Jah provide that through the works, and they did not compromise the works for this wealth. This wealth came while they were still holding on to their firmness. So that is the road, and that road has already been ridden. The formula has already been tried and proven, but yet still we go away from it. It's that is to me it's the most mind-boggling thing on this earth. Like, that is something that I've yet to be able to understand, especially from my own people. Like, we have seen the formula tried and proven and work, and still is the best formula in the world today, but yet still we do something totally different.
But sorry to interrupt you, but I'm fascinated by a couple of things you said in there, but I want to touch on literally what you've just said. But with regards to that, you're saying that, okay, so there's this formula and it works, and yet people still deviate from this path, which has proven to be correct. But are we not back to the system again, though? Because it's almost, I think, especially since the end of the Second World War, especially, but I mean, but we're talking about thousands of years in the making here, essentially. But especially since the Second World War, the system has become so all-encompassing and so intense, and so it interferes and it spreads itself like a virus into every area of our lives. I was speaking to Firekin on the show a few weeks ago, chatting to him, and we were talking about a similar thing. And from your every waking moment until you go to bed, you're surrounded by it, from the food you eat for breakfast, to the way you get your news, to the way you have to get your money, to what you do in the evening, to when you switch on the telly, to when you go to bed and lay down on a damn mattress. Everything is from the system. And is it because it's become so all-encompassing and so pervasive now that that many people who could have been on the correct path, even the strongest of ones, are now getting led astray by it? Do you think it's what it is? It's because it's become so pervasive now in the world?
Yeah, it's consuming, actually. Yeah. So it is a virus, as you said. Actually, it's an AI. You know what I mean? People don't know that. Like, the AI wasn't computers. Computers is not AI. AI is actually, that's what it's exactly what it says. It's artificial intelligence, and that didn't come from AIs. That came from mankind. Yeah. So that is a lot of things in this world are so confusing because of the way that we look at the labels that they give us. Because everything is labeling, but if you look beyond the labels, then you see a deeper thing. And as I said, there are people that will see that and people that won't see that, which is why the prophecies have really proven to be true as well. Because even though, as I say, we have so many examples of the real thing, of the formula, we still deviate from it. You know what I mean? So obviously the prophecies are true because, that's what the prophecies are saying, that we have the example, we have what is to do, but we're still doing the wrong things. But it's an AI, you know what I mean? It's artificial intelligence is really... It's mankind's way of trying to be God, basically. You know what I mean?
But it's never changed, does it, though? It's been the same for thousands and thousands of years.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's not changed. That's why people think that computers are new. Yeah. The AI that we're going to become years from now, we're going to take over the world. People think that that's new. That's not new. That's mankind's very most evolved state. That's us trying to be gods. You know what I mean? So, in order to be gods, if you check it out, artificial intelligence as opposed to natural intelligence. Check it out. Natural intelligence would be like in the trees, in our bodies, which is what created us, what makes us grow, what makes everything grow that is natural, right? Artificial intelligence is what we would use now to create something that mimics that. You know what I mean? Because that's what artificial is. It's something that mimics. So if that's like in Jamaica, they say everything made in China is like it's like a knockoff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. So artificial intelligence is basically trying to mimic the natural intelligence of the world, and the natural intelligence comes through us tapping into our natural man, our self. That means in times past we have read that man we had more telepathical powers. We had more control of the elements. That means we could know when this is going to happen. We could we were more in touch. So that would have been natural intelligence. And then the more we advance, so-called, because I don't really see it as an advancement, but the more they say we advance, is the more we go to artificial intelligence. So the AIs that they're going to put into robots and make with robots are they're not much different. They're really us. They're an extension of us. They're the highest that we can get to being God, to creating what God created. To artificially mimic what God created. That's what we're trying to do, or that's what the people that don't want to live in the spiritual plane are trying to do. Trying to just match this what they're born to see. Like we born and see all this stuff, and like how is it here? Science for me is a study of spirituality. My brethren says it's not so. He disagrees with me, but for me, science is a study of spirituality, because man is trying to always study what he doesn't know, beyond what he can see, what he can fathom. So, that's it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So in all of this, we're being lost in just that translation, that whole thing. So we don't know the difference anymore between the natural way of things as opposed to the artificial way of things. Like recently, I was listening to BBC. I like listening to BBC because it's a wide news, like it's everywhere basically. And I heard one of the broadcasters say that we're now going into a post-truth world. Yeah, what the hell? What do you mean? That is a BBC broadcaster. She's saying we are going into a post-truth world. That is crazy. The fact that she can even say that, and then we accept that and know that is coming. And it's true,
But this is the point. You've just summed it up again as well. But this is why it's become so pervasive, and why I say virus, because people will accept it now. I mean, and it's especially. I think you talk about how artificial intelligence is essentially trying to do what God, Jah, whoever has done, which I think is very true. But also and especially social media for me is the perfect example, because it's this double-edged sword in some respects. That so social media has made a lot of us more connected, and it's given the right people the tools to be able to connect like they never have before with each other. I suppose you could say woke people, I suppose, maybe is the sort of most pertinent turn of phrase with that. But then on the other hand, for the majority of the people, what social media has done is given this illusion of connection and this illusion of community as such, when really it's not at all. It's all make believe. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Bullshit, bro. It's total bullshit. As you say, it's an illusion. It's an illusion. So it's all. And if you notice, social media is an AI. Social media is basically it's an AI.
Exactly so. But
exactly. So it's just the way how Babylon puts things. They take it away. Because we have a natural, an innate way of discerning things, you know what I mean? So what they do is they desensitize that part of you, and they take it out of that scope, that whole plane. So you don't even look at it like that. You're looking at robots. You're looking at, when you hear the word AI, when you're robots and robots taking over the world and blah, blah, blah. You don't even know that all these devices, all these software, all this stuff that they're introducing into our lives, these are all from a massive one AI. It's like the New World Order. They say that word, but the New World Order can basically be synonymous to the word AI. It's the same thing. And as you say, it's been happening for ages. It's not now. It's just there is a certain set of men and women on this planet that are aligned to a different like outcome. In their minds, they want to be, and they're breeding every day. It's not just one set because they're born. It's just culture. Because all you have to do is culture a kid to a certain point, and then he'll start wanting the same thing that you want. You know what I mean? It's very easy for them. You know. So there are certain people in this world that want the world to actually go into that direction because their thing is all about science. It's about discovering who God is, where we came from, blah, 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 all this crap. So the more we create spaceships, the more we go to space, the more we make robots, it's just an expression. It's really, that's why I say it's hard to knock it like it's something that is bad, you know what I mean? It's only bad when it actually ends up doing damage. But it's natural for us to want to be godlike, because it does say in the prophecy that we are created in the image and likeness of the Almighty. But now there's two ways to try to be godlike. You know what I mean? It's the way of the system, which is the scientific way, and then it's the way of the spiritual, which you have a woman that is in a village in Africa, deep in Africa, and her breasts that she has on her chest probably has nurtured maybe 100 kids. You know what I mean? Maybe even more than 100 kids, but just to say, maybe 100 kids. And she has been like a mother to a community. And she has never had $1 million in her bank account. She's never driven a car. She doesn't have a license. You understand? So there are ways to be godlike. There are ways to be nurturing to the planet. You know what I mean? So I think that it's just that both of them are in a struggle. And then we as beings, we as mankind are caught up in that struggle. And then it's all made for us for that, really, if you check it out, because it's there. And I don't look at nothing that is there as it's not supposed to be there, or evil is not supposed to be there. The bad guy, no, that's crap. You know, everything is there because it's supposed to be there. You know, what man imagines is real. There's nothing that we can imagine that is not real. It's either it was or it's to come. You know, there's nothing that comes in a man's mind, not even the monsters and all the great things that you concoct, that they're from some imaginary place. To me, that's ridiculous. So we manifest everything that comes into our minds, either before or it's coming up. You know what I mean? So that's how we have to look at the whole world, you know, and the scope of how we go forward as people. We have to use the labels for what they are, you know, and then use our hearts and our innate connection for what that is. Because if we use the labels as our guide, then we're gone. That's what Facebook is for. That's what Instagram is for. You know what I mean? Exactly. These are things that are the labels that are taking us into that direction. So we need to focus and know that, okay, we have that. That is the world. Okay, I can use Facebook. It's made. Yeah, but I mean, what is Facebook? You know? So you don't get lost in that. You don't tell yourself that, okay, my best friend is Jim from North Carolina, and we've been talking on Facebook for 5 years, and wow, is this the greatest friendship I've ever had? That's totally crap. That's bullshit. That's, you know what I mean? But the way they set things up is that all of us are into that stuff now. All of us believe now that is real, you know, because they've taken away. Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, and you're so correct with that. Time for a break. Press pause if you need to, because me and Micah will be back with more chat in just a little while. And you said that there's this notion of robots taking over the world. Robots have taken over the world because we have become the robots. Ultimately,
long time.
We are controlled
long time, bro.
by the powers that be.
Robots.
That is us now.
Exactly. Yeah, man. That is us. We are doing it. We are doing it. So we make it look like the movies and the guys that up in the top that are creating these things, they make it look like, okay, you know, these things are going to come and going to bash us, or they're going to, they're not coming where they're coming from. We make every single one of them. No. Like, come on, man. You know, so if people open their eyes, people will see that we're really being lulled into something stupid, because it's stupid. It's like saying Bob Marley came from Chinchtown and became the biggest reggae star in the world. It's ridiculous. And I mean, it happened. But, you know, to act like something that we create is going to come and now devour us is totally ridiculous, bro. You know what I mean? We are creating our own destruction day by day.
Yes.
We can stop our own destruction day by day. We have the choice. That's the greatest thing about mankind. We were made with choice. we were made to say no or to say yes, you know what I mean? So it's really culturing yourself, educating yourself enough in both ways. So you're born into a world that is, it's let's say we're born in sin, right? That's what they say. You're born in a sin. So that means you're going to know the ways of the world by the time you get to 6, 7, 8 years old. You know a lot of things of what is going on in the world. So now you know all of that. Then you have to focus on actually learning or relearning or culturing yourself to the part of the world or the part of yourself that is needed to go through this damn sin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because sin is not good. Sin is not good, no matter which way you spin it. So you know what I mean? Then right, that's how I found balance. You know what I mean? That's how I found my balance. I can't go off into that part because that part is in abundance. I was born into that. So okay, I was born into that. Then I have to balance. So find the balance. How do I balance? I find something that balances me, that is spiritually connected, that is naturally connected, because I live on a plane of nature. I live, no matter how much concrete is here, all of it was made from the natural plane. So I have to balance with that first. So me balance with that, and then me find out, say, all right, that is connected to this and connected to that. Which spirituality, which religion, whatever, is showing me some potent energy that is connected to this natural element that I want to be balanced with. And then you find yourself. It's very simple, you know what I mean? People look at it as rocket science, but it's not. It's very, very simple. You just don't want to go 60% to one side, especially if it's the world side. You know, you never want to leave the top like heavy for that side. You know, try to leave the top heavy for your spiritual side. So, you know, it's better people saying, "Oh, you're too deep," or "You act like you're too self-righteous," or blah blah blah.
It's not about being self-righteous, though. Is
No, let people say that shit. You know what I mean? As long as you're living a certain way and you're not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not defiling that. You know, that's the thing. You know, because when you defile that, that's when it becomes like a big backlash in your face. You know, but let people say that, you know, but you still live in the world. I go to clubs sometimes when now and again I drink a Guinness. I don't drink, but I drink a Guinness now and again. You know what I mean? So it's how you balance. It's about balance. Spiritual and material strike the balance. The words of His Imperial Majesty. Spiritual and material strike the balance. It maketh the perfect man for this world. Maybe in the world after, the spiritual element will be overwhelmingly perfect for that world. But for this world, Imashua say, without the material structures of the world, you're also going to be stressed spiritually. Because to pray and to keep your spiritual self on afloat while you're hungry, while you can't pay your bills, while you can't do all this stuff is almost impossible. It's ridiculous. So the spirit that we look up to in this time that has come and shown us and manifested the truth that we can connect to and see it as a truth has said that you find a balance with spiritual and material, which is very logical, very true, very real, because I've lived that and I've seen others live that, you know.
Yeah.
So that's just it, you know. So if we find that, then we're good. You just have to find that. You know, for everyone, just find that place. You know, it's, as I say, it's not about labels. Forget about the Jesus Christ. Forget about the Rastafari. Forget about the Buddha. Forget about the Allah. Forget about all these labels. Find a balance where you can live with the person standing next to you. If it's that person is from a different culture or from a different planet, even alien, whatever, find a balance where you can see that person for somebody who is looking for basically the exact same thing that you are. Yeah, that means they just want clothes, they just want shelter, food, water, all these things. Just look at it, just find a balance where you can see that. And remember, you will see a better world. You will see a better self. You will see a better, like, just in your, even in your look at immediate surroundings will start to get better, because you just have to live it for the, you know, once you start living it for a little time, people have to conform to that, bro. People have to, because it is in them. They are given another choice, so they're taking the other choice. But if you show them that this choice is still available, it still exists, it's still, you know what I mean? It's viable. Whatever, you know, you can still live, you can still be a beautiful person in this world, have a beautiful family, have a beautiful life, and still be conscious and still be spiritually endowed, you know what I mean? Then the world will be a better place, you know, and that's the road I have chosen. That's why I walk this road, because I do not only believe, but I know, because I've seen it. I've seen it manifested on me, because as I said, I didn't create this, I didn't make this. This is not something that I made. This is something that I was born into, and then I made a decision, a choice that Jah gave everyone to carry on this beautiful thing that I came and saw. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, and I think your summing up is absolutely spot on, especially the striking the balance between the spiritual and material. I think you're exactly right with that. And I mean, but the thing is, this is what roots music is all about for me. And I'm gonna have to start winding this up soon. But
yeah.
I haven't even talked about half I want to talk about, to be honest with you, Micah. I'd love.
That's how it goes with me, man. Sometimes I just, I hardly have people to speak to nowadays. So, if you notice, I don't do a lot of interviews. So, I just go off like in this kind of vibration, good vibes.
But this is what this podcast is all about. I said to you off air, didn't I, that this is not the BBC. We are not going to sit here like this. You are free to talk about whatever you want, and I lap it up because it's absolutely fascinating listening to you, and I agree with so much of what you're saying. I think it's absolutely brilliant. We haven't really had time to talk much about the music, to be honest, but just to briefly wrap up, we better get back on some sort of track. What have you got in store for the rest of the year? Obviously, the Forgotten Scrolls are going to be dropping, aren't they? Is that your main focus for the rest of the year?
Yeah, Carry Me Love is going to be next. So that's the song I was telling you about the whole transition of connection between man and woman, and just it's a love song, but it's a little bit, it's my style, my style already. Yeah. It's never too shallow, So
no, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's next, and then should be on the flip side should be Roller Coaster, I think. That will be the second release from the Scrolls. The last release, I guess, would be the When You Write and the Rubber Dub tune. I doubt those will be this year, but the Carry Me Love surely will be for this year. Mm-hmm. Then I'm working on a winter tour right now, so we actually going to do a winter tour of Europe this year, because next year we might go on a US and then try and touch the other markets. So, we're going to do an extended Europe this year. So I'm working on that now. The flyer will be out pretty soon.
Will you be coming to the UK?
Yeah, we're trying to. Last year we were booked in the UK for One Love and a few other shows. And to be honest, that's another thing. It's just some things that I want to speak on. But some things you're very reluctant, because this industry shuts you down within minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah. My music. You know what I mean? From Original Dread. When I was dropping Original Dread, I'm well respected, as you say. But when I was dropping that album, I was like a touted artist. You know what I mean? I was like an artist that people were looking to from Jamaica and stuff like that. And then I was approached by some rather large people, and I declined to work with them, and since I dropped that album, everything changed, So I know the music business has a way of basically just shutting you down, and shutting down just by the simple things that you say, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's very hard for the music to maintain the color, which it so desperately needs, for the people to connect to it. If you try to break it down, if you try to separate it, you know what I mean? If an artist is coming from a place where he has a group, a singing group, like four, say it's a quartet, and they sing, if you try to take two of the people out of the group, you're going to destroy it, you know what I mean? Whether you create an individual artist that becomes a superstar years after, that's besides the point. That defeats the point. Bob Marley becoming Bob Marley defeated the purpose of the Wailers becoming who they were supposed to be. That's how I look at music. You know what I mean? Yeah, because the togetherness is always going to be the greater impact. It's always going to be, no matter what we want to believe. The system is teaching us that individuality gives you the greater impact. Well, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. And if people look deep in their lives, they'll see that it is ridiculous. Individuality only brings you individual pain and stress. It might bring you money, might bring you a lot of other things, because you don't have to share. So, you'll keep more money in your bank, but it brings you a lot of other pain and shit that you can't you can't get rid of without other people, without togetherness. So togetherness is the first and foremost. And then when the money comes, you share that damn shit. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? But they have us operating in a different way. Totally different way.
No, absolutely. And what you said about you being the music industry had a way of shutting you down, it's exactly the same in journalism, Micah, trust me. If you're saying things that the system doesn't like, then you get shut down quite quickly as well. So it's exactly the same thing. Will you please come back on the show again before the end of the year?
I will, man.
So we can talk some more.
And to be honest, let me make you feel not too bad, because we didn't speak a lot about the music, but if that didn't happen, then it was a perfect interview, man. Because well, I'm an exponent of I like to think truths and rights, from the beginning, and from my upbringings of Rastafari and just the world, not only Rastafari, but the workings of all the great people in the world, that white, black, Chinese that have done great things for the good of this world, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm an exponent of that energy. So if we didn't even talk about music, bro, I want people to know who I am, you know what I mean? So
which was my goal with this anyway, Micah, because your music is so well known, your music is out there, and we could, like I said to you off air, we could have done a bog standard interview where I go, so tell me about your musical journey, Micah. When did you first realise blah blah blah? But we don't need to do that with you, and this has been far more enlightening, and ultimately, Micah, it's been far more useful and meaningful than just talking about the standard stuff. I have, while we've been chatting, actually, I have a message from my dear friend and such an amazing artist himself. King Mass has sent me a message saying that Micah is one of the great ones of this generation. Full joy that I am interviewing you. So King Mass is a good friend.
Big up King Mass, man. Yeah,
he's a lovely guy. He's in Africa.
Big respect, man.
Yeah, he's amazing.
I've never met him, but I've heard of him,
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. He's in Africa at the minute doing a lot of good stuff over there. So
magic.
He's very pleased I'm speaking to you, and I've been very, very pleased I've spoken to you as well, Micah. It's been absolutely a joy to listen to you. I could sit there for hours just listening to your thoughts and everything you have to say, and I agree with you on most stuff you've been saying, so it's been absolutely wonderful. Please, I will arrange, and we'll have to hook up, and you'll have to come back on the game before the end of the year so we can talk some more as well.
Okay.
It's been absolutely brilliant.
Oh, you know what? We could do an interview for my next album release will be Bush Tea, which is a very, very, it's kind of a strange topic, very interesting topic. So it could be something that we could expound on, because the Bush Tea is an album, and then it has connections to the actual way how we were brought up in Jamaica with all the grandmas, bushes and stuff that kept us from going to the hospital and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So we could definitely do something nice on that.
When's that slated for, do you think?
2020, actually. I'm dropping that next year, but still to get the exact date. I'm in mixing process now. So
excellent. Well, I want you back on before that, and then you can come back on again to talk about that. There we go.
Man, for sure, man.
Excellent.
Sure,
Look, for the minute, Micah, it's been a real pleasure to speak to you. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's been great.
Yeah, man. Big respect, man. Big respect. And to all the listeners, UK, everybody in the world, really, big respect for taking the time out to listen to positive, programming. This is actually positive programming that the world really need, not just for me, but obviously for the other people, other guests who have come on the show. And so big respect, and keep doing what you're doing.
That's very kind. Thank you. Both those parts of the interview have to go down as one of the best on the Topple Uncaged podcast of the year. Wow, Micah is such an amazing talent and such a critical thinker. My goodness, the issues we discussed in there and his thoughts on so many subjects to do with people and the planet are absolutely on point. Absolutely fascinating. I enjoyed so much speaking with him. Absolutely brilliant. What a guy, Micah Shemaiah. Wow. And now to finish off this two-part interview, I want to play you his latest track, released from the Forgotten Scrolls vinyl release part 1. This is the fantastic Rainbow Station. This is Micah Shemaiah, Rainbow Station. Check this out.
Wake up everyone, see say the rest man has gone. Wake up for the rest man has gone. Wake up everyone, Rasta man stay strong. Wake up everyone, you know see say the Rasta man has come. Wake up all the Rasta man. Wake up everyone, you know see say the Rasta man has come. Wake up all the Rasta man.
And that's it. Part 2 of this very special episode of Topple Uncaged is done. I'd like to thank my fantastic guest this week, the incredible Micah Shemaiah. Follow him on Twitter. It's at Micah Shemaiah. As always, behind the scenes, thank you to the love of my life, the gorgeous Nicola Jeffrey. Follow her on Twitter. It's at Nicola T. Jeffrey. My man behind the booth, sounds engineer Gav Pause. Follow him on Twitter. It's at Pause with AC Radio. And my in-house singer, it's Ray Star Music. Follow her on Twitter. It's at Ray_Star113. Thank you to the Canary for uncaging me. I will see you again soon.
Uncaged.